I'm with I'm with Vincent Ontita here at Wildlife Direct offices at Karen Connection, and Vincent is one of the most important people in conservation in Kenya today. Here is a guy who has just driven
7,342 kilometers.
Almost 7,500 kilometers across Kenya to bring conservation education to children. Okay, so Vincent, I've been away for the last 3 weeks and you've been on this journey.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about the journey. What's it all about? What is Wildlife Warriors?
So Wildlife Warriors is all about discovering, exploring, learning and having lots of fun. And it's working with young people, children of this country of ours, promoting and guiding them through conservation. So we realized so many of us talk about conservation, we love conservation, we love about environment and everything, but no one is talking about the young people. No one is talking about the younger generation. Even the youth, some of us, we all keep on saying we're involving them, but it's all cosmetic. So we said, why can't we try do something different and involve the young kids in conservation? So this year, together with Safaricom have been running a campaign that is called This Is My Kenya. When we come together, great things happen. When we come together, we can protect our environment, we can protect our future, we can protect our conservation and our wildlife, everything that God had created and given us a responsibility to do. So we said, why can't we partner and do something that is national, a national outlook that involves everyone, doesn't like choose whoever you are in the society. So we did a 2018 calendar together. This calendar is an amazing calendar, you'll all get surprised, that showcased 12 different species from January all the way to December. Do you want to have a look at it?
Let's see this calendar.
What the calendar is talking about.
This is a giant calendar.
It's a giant calendar. It has amazing species. So in January, we have this animal. I guess so many of you know as a zebra, but yes, it's a zebra, but a different type of a zebra. It's a beautiful zebra. It's a gravy zebra.
The gravy zebra.
The gravy zebra, yeah.
Stunning.
And did you know that 95% of this zebra is actually found in Kenya? Most of it. It's a quite endangered animal. It's said about 2,500 are left in the wild. So have an experience. Go out in the wild and get to have an opportunity to see this amazing species that we have. February, we were speaking about honeybee. The African honeybee. So we are telling kids the importance of honeybees. We're telling people the importance of honeybees, what honeybees gives to our society, to our ecosystem, be it honey, cross-pollination, so many things that involve the bees and why we should protect it and save it, yeah?
Okay, so I get that you have a calendar with 12 different species,
Yeah.
endangered species,
Yeah.
but that's not all that it is, right?
Yeah, it's not all of it. That's just to show them, because we realize again, it's very difficult to tell you to conserve what you've not seen. So this program, we said, now we've done the calendar, how can we involve the kids? So we targeted public primary schools drawn across the country in former 8 provinces. So we have 4 schools in Nairobi, 4 schools in Western, 4 schools in Nyanza, Rift Valley, Central, Northeastern, Eastern, and also coastal province. So we have 4 public primary schools. So what we did, together with Story Moja, we looked at schools that are disadvantaged, that are spread in the villages, in surrounding areas, schools that are both in the conservation areas, others are in the town centers. How can we involve them and bring together to do conservation together? So
And you have some very special materials that you brought to them.
Exactly. So we did 2 amazing books with Story Moja. I'm going to show you. One is called My Passport, Wildlife Warriors Passport book. So it has the 12 endangered species that we were talking about.
Let's see, open it up, let's have a look.
So from the first page, the kids get to read about My Passport, Wildlife Warriors Republic. The second page, we are calling on them, inviting them. So we are telling them, dear Wildlife Warrior, welcome to this exciting edition of Wildlife Warrior Republic. This passport is a guide for you to learn about 12 endangered species. Come on a journey with us and fall in love with nature. Being a wildlife warrior means you will show leadership and responsibility for the conservation of our unique wildlife heritage when you have learned about the 12 endangered species.
So you've been to
then-
schools across the whole country telling them to commit to this.
Exactly. So I'll show you what we've been doing. So in this first page, they take a passport photography. They tell us the name of their school, club, age, class, and why they are wildlife warriors. So we've gone to school, like a school in Kwale, where kids are saying they are wildlife warriors because they want to conserve what they were given. Some are saying they are wildlife warriors. They can see their parents are also like, some of them are actually poachers. In the sense that they don't know they're poachers literally, but they're doing it because of survival. Some of them get to eat some of these species that we have. For bushmeat, we have like dicks, we have like turtles, the coast call it kasa, the Kiswahili name. So we have different experience in different regions. So we asked ourselves, how can kids get to leverage what is in the calendar and get to take advantage of it and learn something about it? So that's why when they look at January, for example, remember seeing gravy zebra?
Right.
So they have a brief description of what a gravy zebra is. Why is it endangered? And we're also telling them a fact about that species. So kids get to see a picture. If, for example, a kid in Busia, he hasn't learned anything about gravy zebra, or they've never seen a gravy zebra before, but they've seen a picture. So they have an opportunity using their passport book to learn something small about the gravy zebra and why is it endangered and a fact about it. And then the next page is where now we want to hear about what kids are saying. Normally it has been do this, do this, do this, but we actually want to hear from them because our curriculum has made it so impossible for us to think out of the box. It's all that for you to succeed, you have to be a doctor, an engineer, a pilot, but we all don't end up being those amazing careers. But all of us have a responsibility to do environment, to protect and conserve what we have. So we're telling the kids, what do you think if the gravy zebras are lost?
Right.
What do you think will happen? Why do we need to save them? So this is where now they give us the ideas. So we're asking them, write what you think. And then the next page is the exciting page again. We're also telling them, trying to test some of their talents. If they can draw, let them draw. If they can do poems, essay, compositions, insha's, drama. So we are using this book to also test some of their learning skills as well and promote some of them who don't understand maths but can leverage what the Wildlife Warrior program is bringing around and try to work it out with the mwalimu, with their teachers. There's a small part where it's called, there's a stamp. So this is where now the kid, anything that you do, you have to do evaluation and see if it's working, what should we improve. So the kids get to go to the teacher and report. The teacher gets to stamp so that the kid can feel the sense of ownership, that the teacher also cares about what they are doing as well.
So the children have started?
Yes, they've started. So what we did, we did July, we did a training for teachers. So we brought teachers from across the country, 33 schools times 2, those are 66 teachers. Those, imagine 66 professionals from different parts of the country. So we have Marsabit, Lamu,
So from all
Migori,
over the
from
whole country?
all over the country, Nairobi. So we brought them together, trained them, and we get them to learn about each other.
Did you have a special book for them?
Yes. So we also did a teacher's guidebook as well to help them now, guide them with this program. So because we understand this is a co-curricular activity and our teachers also, they need guides to help them in doing whatever they are doing and also to help them also run the program because we don't want a boring program. Remember we told you it's all about discovering, exploring, learning, and in that process also they got also to have fun and experience what nature gives us. So in this book we have lessons from lessons 1 to all the way to lesson 5. So, and this is a guidebook that will remain in schools. So it's for the teachers who are our ambassadors, but it's also the school property. But
and the children get to keep their own passport.
But the kids get to keep their own passport. And with the exciting thing about this, it's a series of books. So this year we are highlighting about the 12 endangered species that are in the calendar, 2018 Safaricom calendar. Next year we may decide to do endangered species of trees, or primates, or herbivores, or carnivores. So different years, different species. And then here also, the teachers also get to give the students some of the activities to do, some citizen science in it, to plant trees, to conserve the environment, to do something, to try and get solution, especially to those kids and teachers who live around conservation area.
But it's not just in the classroom, is it?
No. Actually, we are promoting to learn out of the class. So the idea is we want to get these kids, once they've seen the picture, they've learned something in their books, we're also giving them laptops. So we're giving them wonderful laptops, all because of the sponsorship that we got from Safaricom. They are all pre-installed with 150 films, from cartoons to animation to conservation documentaries, all about wildlife. They all have the 12 endangered species and more species that are not in the calendar, like the hippopotamus, the papadas, because these are some of the things, as we are going around the country, some of the things that we were told, like stories that we hear. People hate animals like the snakes because they've had their families. People hate elephants because they've killed some of their family members. Others love the elephants because the way they've interacted with them for so many years. So we have very different dynamic views from across the country, and we want to promote them, to nurture them, and make sure, because these are they're the generation of today. They're the leaders of today.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to make sure the Vision 20 that you're talking about, they're the ones who will now be leading. Some of us will be almost retiring during that time. And right now we are youths. So it's up to us to do something for my generation and the generation that comes after us.
So you told me some very cool stories about surprising responses from some of these schools. Can you show me just one of them?
So for example, we went to this school, it's called Nkaji Naibor. It's in Amboseli ecosystem, somewhere in Amboseli. So what they've done, they're used to hardship. But because of the WildlifeWarriors program, it has made them, both the teachers and the kids, to be innovative. So what they're doing, they've started recycling and elephant dung. Yeah.
So they're recycling what? Paper from school or whatever?
From school, and using the dung that is so much there.
The elephant dung?
The elephant dung, to do beautiful papers. And they're also trying to do cards with beaded. Yeah, like this one the kid tried to say no to ivory. I guess they were trying to say no to ivory poaching. So
that's awesome. So
this is great. So
they've started something very creative, and their idea
to start the feeding program in the school. 2, to get money to get them and have an opportunity to visit some of the parks.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a minute.
Yeah.
My phone is just about to die. So Vincent, you've been to more places in Kenya than I've ever been to. You've been to some of the most remote corners. Tell me, what was the most, wildest place you went to?
The most wildest place I went to was a place in Northeastern, a place called Basa, but the locals called it Basa. It's towards the outskirts of Isiolo County, almost towards Wajir County. It was so scary. First of all, this is the first time I've been to almost everywhere in the country. Crossed all the 47 counties just to go and do what I love most, engaging with the young people, the kids. So this day we wake up very early. We underestimated, because we weren't sure where we are going. So we called the teacher, the amazing teacher from Basa Primary School. His name is Mr. John Galgalo. He was so helpful. So when we finished from Isiolo, we started our day by going to a school in Samburu, a place called Wamba, Limparanui Primary School. So interior. From the tarmac road to the school, it's about 70 kilometers of dirt road to the Wamba school. It's a small school that has grade 1 all the way to standard 5. It's a new school that was started with only 4 teachers, a head teacher, a deputy, and 2 ladies teachers.
That's it, the whole school?
That's it, that's the whole school. 4 teachers, and they have a population of about 300 kids, trying to engage with them. But because of it's a pastoralist community, so they also have challenges because of pasture and everything. So that this year they have quite a number of pupils. Next year it's different number of pupils, because as their parents are moving, trying to get pasture for their cattle, they also move with their children.
So they're nomadic. They're still nomadic.
Yeah. And also something that has affected that area also, it's drought and lack of food and pasture and even water. So those are some of the challenges. So we thought we had gone to an interior place until later afternoon now, when we are starting now the journey from there all the way to Basa. So we went from Wamba all the way to a place called the junction between Achas Post and Samburu. So we went. It was showing us about 100 kilometers to go to a place called Merti, but we drove for 200 kilometers on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. You get to a place where you have 5 similar roads heading to different places. We got lost. We headed to a KDF camp, to a British camp. It was so exciting. I had my colleagues in the vehicle. Our driver, Peter Ndungu, amazing driver, who has been so helpful with this project. He got even scared because at some point the fuel tank was about to go at low, and yet we were contemplating either going ahead or coming back. We weren't sure the route that we could take. So we let our gas guide us. So one of us decided we go left. We ended up getting ourselves to the British military camp. And then he said, since we didn't get the right route, then my guards also showed us to take us to the KDF camp. So it was scary and challenging as well. So we didn't also have water. All the water we had packed in the vehicle, but 2 cartons of water, supplying to kids who are like shepherds. So we find the young kids.
Oh, you gave away your water?
Yes. We gave out our water to help some of those kids who are looking after their parents' cattle. So you find like a small baby, about the age of 8 years old, 10 years old, with a shuka and an arrow, trying to protect her parents' cattle. And these are young girls, yeah, so you can imagine what the boys are doing. So it really gave us another perspective of some of us who've grown all our lives here in Nairobi, in the city. Sometimes we used to complain that we have everything, we have food, we have shelter, we have a place we go to sleep by the end of the day, but some kids, they don't even have some of these things. They don't have water, they don't have food, there's no infrastructure, there are no roads, there's no network, there's no internet, there's no electricity. Basically, it's like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And for them, they grew up understanding that's the kind of life they are living. So some of them even were seeing some of us, even we're trying to reach out to them, they can't speak Swahili, they can also not speak English.
Wow.
So the only language they understand is the local language. So even trying to interact with them is quite difficult, and all they were asking is either we give them a lift or a bottle of water. So you can even imagine some of us, especially people living in the cities, people who go to the hotels, with the amount of wastage we do with water. This really shows you we need to take care of what we are given freely. Because all the things that we're given freely, the natural things we're given, you need water, the good environment, air and everything, we need to protect it and conserve it. And those that have, you should at least do something to help. And try and as much as they could to support those that haven't.
So you seem to have a very new appreciation of all these things that we take for granted.
Exactly, and it has even given me more energy. So I'm thinking here at office, how can I work to ensure that some of those kids also get to have an opportunity, that some of the kids here in Nairobi and the rest of the country also have those opportunities that some of them that they don't. By the end of the day, that the same kids will do the same exams, the same opportunities, so you can imagine the disparity and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what's the reaction then? These children are so poor and so isolated, and what do they think about you coming to their schools with this new fandangled Wildlife Warriors program with computers and telephones and modems and internet and movies? What do they think about it?
I'll share directly like the experience itself, because when we went to this school, it's in El Barok, Laisamis constituency in Marsabit County. So we got
Northern Kenya.
So we got there at around midday, around 11 a.m., almost lunchtime. So the kids have been waiting for us for like 2 weeks. When they had this group from Nairobi Wildlife Direct, they're bringing in books, they're bringing in a machine, a laptop to learn about conservation. So they were all energetic, they were all enthusiastic, they couldn't wait to see us. When we reached there, they really welcomed us well. They received us, we got those ceremonial received, they sang local language, we had to jump, we had to sing around with them, play around with them. But the most important thing I saw is that they are willing to listen, and then afterwards you get to realize those kids, they slept hungry, they didn't have even dinner, they had nothing for breakfast, and then during lunchtime they are waiting just to take water, and then after a few minutes they go back to class to study, because that's the only thing. Even what the teachers were telling them, you have to work hard. Exam is around the corner, like the ones who are preparing for the national exam, the KCPE. So you can imagine you have kids who are very dull, but they're also showing smiles. Yeah, I wish I could show you some of the photos and videos of those kids smiling all the way, because all we brought them is pictures, stories about wildlife, a laptop showing them films and cartoons about wildlife. So you can imagine if small kids can resonate that well and love what we have and give it freely. It's a responsibility for some of us who are in the conservation field and in a position where they can influence change, to ensure kids like those ones, they are supported, they're given basic needs that they need to support them excel. Because we all assume that we all have to go through the 844 system. By the time we finish primary, we'll go to high school, from high school to university. But majority of them, they end up in the locals, in their areas, in their communities, having done nothing.
They never go to high school.
They never go to high school. So if you find a school that has about 200 marks, or of 170, and you know their parents are struggling as well, that already shows you majority of them will not proceed. Not all of them will go to national schools and everything. But I'm happy with the Wildlife Warrior programs, because we're trying to build them and telling them to be responsibility. I'll read something that we're trying to tell them behind the Wildlife Warrior passport. Like you're telling them, as a Wildlife Warrior passport, what are your beliefs? What are your values? What is your commitment? So every kid where we are going, they were saying, I, as a wildlife warrior, I'm promising that I'll do my best to conserve wildlife, to preserve my environment and remember its value. I will not poach, I will not litter, I will protect the natural heritage of my community. And we are doing that by also giving some other supportive materials. There is this exciting book that we did. It's called A Guide to the Wildlife Act 2013. Our legal program was able to do it. So it is in a layman's language that kids can understand. So these books, kids get to read and understand what's happening. Like this picture of a cartoon here shows somebody carrying an ivory. Already a kid knows it is wrong for someone to be found with an ivory. Okay. That way, they can be the change maker they want to see. They can be the change they want to see in their society. So a kid can be able to tell their parent, to influence them, Dad, we were told or we were taught in school, carrying an ivory, or if you are caught with anything that belongs to a wildlife, it will lead for you to go either to jail or you will be punished by imprisonment and so. So kids are getting to be on the forefront in fighting for the conservation, rather than telling them what to do. They're actually practicing it.
So why do you love what you do?
I love what I do because at least one, I have a responsibility like any other person to take care. So my story comes, I studied tourism management in school, and when I was in campus, it was during that time Kenya had a problem with poaching and the human-wildlife conflict was high. And then I told myself, I'm here struggling in school trying to get good grades, all because of tourism management, and yet our tourism depends so much on our wildlife. So if there's no wildlife, there's no tourism. So that's how I started volunteering and working towards ensuring these amazing animals and species that we have, they are there not only for my generation, but also the generation that comes after. And immediately I started volunteering with Wildlife Direct. I'm so thankful because they gave me an opportunity to build myself also and also learn about conservation. Because even when I wasn't sure about conservation, I came to learn so much, and I'm so happy. The little that I know, I'm able to share to those generation, those young kids that really need that. Because we keep on assuming conservation is all about government, yet government is us, or conservation is about KWS. Yes, KWS is doing an amazing job, but we also have to support them and give people. You can never protect something you haven't seen. You can never protect something you don't know. And we also need to change this attitude that conservation is all about white people, it's all about Mzungu, the attitude that Kenyans have towards our wildlife. But yet, if something happens, we all have feelings toward this wildlife. Yeah? If you see some of the poems and essays that have been written with this kid, you can tell for sure most of them love what we have. But unfortunately, most of them haven't got the opportunity. So what we are trying to do with other partners that we work with, like WCK, Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, is ensuring that all of them at least subscribe and become Wildlife Warriors with the club members. Then they get at least to help them also get to see what is happening in the parks, because in the park there's so many things to learn about. There's the ecosystem, there's water, there's grassland, there's everything that is there, rather than just being a day off and just kids and teachers just taking a bus and going around, and then there's no that interest of going to Amboseli or Masai Mara. So we want to create a generation of wildlife warriors who really value what we have, fall in love with our wildlife species, and in that process we believe we can be able to work together in conserving and protecting what we have.
And how can somebody who's watching this help?
For the people who are watching this can help,